So we painstakingly shortened his bio this one page. Here goes. He was born in Wichita Falls, Texas, lived in several Texas cities, including Weatherford, I believe. They have attended the Women's Church since 1998. They have 5 children, 2 together, Robin and Scott. Scott's right here, Robin's in the back, right over here. Excuse me, with her husband, Ron. 14 grandchildren and 1 grandchild. That's awesome. He's worked since college. Was that during the Depression? That was before. His dad was a cattle rancher involved in the furniture industry. Larry wanted no part of ranching, so he followed his dad's footsteps in furniture. He was a private pilot and owned not 1, but 2 airplanes. Woo, quite a time. That impressed the women right there, right? Oh, man, I tell you, I was lucky to get around in my Chevelle. This guy's driving around in 2 planes. So, anyway, he and Suzanne met at MSY. That is the airport designation for Moisant Airport. Well, that's Louis Armstrong, but they kept it MSY. And so, obviously, y'all know at the airport, Larry was just kind of like hanging out, waiting in the lobby for a pretty flight attendant, like Suzanne walked by, or what?
I'll censor it.
Everybody. Okay.
The funny thing is, when I met her, it dawned on me, maybe she could be the flight attendant on my airplane.
There you go. And that worked out pretty well. So they lived in Dallas for a while and they moved to Houston. And since 1977, have resided in Montgomery County. So they spent a few years in Shenandoah before getting right out. And moving on to Oak Ridge North, where they lived from 1980 to 98. When both kids graduated, they moved to the Woodlands. Suzanne said, he used to say, I want to serve my country, but couldn't do the flat feet and asthma. In 1985, he said, you know what, I know how I can serve my country. So he lost his mind and got involved in politics. Boy, we can relate to that, right? So the first stop was running for city council in Oak Ridge North, and he served 3 terms there. And he was also mayor pro tem. During this time, he got involved in the chamber and headed up the roads and transportation. Suzanne said there were 2 things he was most proud of: educating the people in Oak Ridge North about getting a bond passed for the infrastructure. So he started the bond craze in Montgomery County. Number 2 was getting a map and get citizens involved to make corrections to the widening of I-45. So they moved it further to the west. So if anybody had property on I-45 on the west side, here's a man right here to talk to. Okay, we're almost done on this, but after moving, they asked, how can we make a difference? Suzanne called me one day and said, we're going to go to work. I just met 7 or so ladies with signs standing across from Market Street. We attended the last North Houston Tea Party meeting at Town Green Park in 2010 before helping to form the Texas Patriots PAC. They were then an integral part of forming the Montgomery County Tea Party 2 years ago, back in 2012. Since that time, he's been a precinct chair, still is. He's also been the longest serving chairman of the board of Montgomery County Tea Party, while also serving on a vetting committee, a very integral part. He was also elected to Lone Star Grammar Board 4 years ago and served that organization. Let's give it up for our friend, Mr. Larry Rogers. And Mr. Senator, will you be the honor of leading us and sing happy birthday?
I would certainly love to do that. You know, Larry, I'm a history buff, so there's some cool things that happened in history on this day. 1962, John Glenn became the first man to orbit the Earth on your birthday in 1962. In 1864, in Olusi, Florida, the Union Army marched in to try and turn Florida into a Union state instead of a Confederate state. They were defeated defeated by the Confederate Army. That must have been something to see, Larry. What was it like? But seriously, in 1938, Hitler stood and gave two of his most famous speeches in Austria and Czechoslovakia, where he called for German self-determination. That's the day you were born, right? In 1938, FDR was in office. Holy snikes, FDR was in office. So, you lived an amazing life fighting alongside great patriots like John Wirtz and Pat Tibbs and Bob Bagley and Thomas Jefferson. I'm so honored to know you, Larry. You're an amazing guy for the embodiment of all of what is great about the grassroots Tea Party movement in Montgomery County. And you're a big reason that this county is the reddest county in the nation. So God bless you.
The main thing, after reading all that, been involved since 1985. You're never too old to get involved in our country.
Here, here.
And I think I've served a lot of good years, and we've really been on. And I'm just asking each and every one of you that are not involved, you're never too old, you're never too young to get involved. Get involved.
Thank you. I'm not going to sing this Maryland Monroe style, so I'm sorry. Yeah! And my young people know who the hell is Maryland Monroe. But Larry, you're at that age where if you wish a little something, you'd be thinking long and hard all day. That's all I'm saying. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Larry. Happy birthday to you. God bless you.
Thank you, David. Appreciate that. Okay, let's, I don't know if y'all are familiar, but we filed suit last week against our dear leader, Chairman Brian Press. So I'm going to give you an overview here. It's been a long time coming. And there's been, unfortunately, a lot of work behind the scenes on enduring all this and compiling this, so we can just kind of jump right into it. I'm going to read because, you know, this evolved from 126 pages on a mediation dispute that we filed back in August. And we had an 8K on top of that that really never made it to us, or because they chickened out on us. But they basically forced our hand and had to file a lawsuit against this chairman. So most of y'all, no doubt, by now have heard about the writ of mandamus we filed on Wednesday afternoon against County GOP Chairman Brian Press. I implore you to go read the 57-page mandamus, including the attachments, if you haven't already, for the blast that was sent out on Friday, which can be found on our website, mctxgop.org. If you need that, again, just come up and see me afterwards. There is a lot of supporting information there. As you might know, over 60 conservatives, consisting of 43 elected and 15 appointed precinct chairs, that's 58 out of 111, that's over 50%, plus the 3 elected officials, including Vice Chair of the State Secretary Stacey Ernst and Treasurer Charles Shirley, raised and put up over $15,000 for filing writ of mandamus. This didn't come from the party. Okay, this is individual contributions against Chairman Brian Press. So it was not only Chairman Press but we enjoined 20 other parties of interest, including 17 of his appointees. And this was filed with the Texas Supreme Court through our attorney, Montgomery of Arlington, Texas. That's NORRG. Norton's been an active city party for over 30 years. He was suggested to us by someone in the Republican Party of Texas, or RPT, leadership as the go-to guy for this suit. In fact, our own SRC committee woman, Gwen Withrow, initiated this action after being wronged by Chris, and the rest of us followed suit. Thank you, Gwen, for getting the ball rolling. The writ mandate is basically a scaled-down lawsuit compelling someone to do something. And as a result of primarily Chairman Chris' multiple violations of the Texas election code, not to mention secondarily the RPT rules, our bylaws, and Robert's Rules of Order, all of which have resulted in dividing return. In the petition, the County Executive Committee, or some people call it CEC, I call it a CAC, is asking the court to compel Chairman Chris to fulfill his statutory duties and report the correct procedures to the Secretary of State. Instead of those, he has recruited and installed in violation of party rules and state law. That's the long and short of it. And since we need immediate action while trying to avoid the recusals that will obviously occur at the different appellate levels in Beaumont, we went straight to the top. Prior to this action, we conservatives did everything in our power to make Chris do his job and keep the party together. It came to a head when mediation was conducted on September 30th as a result of our 120-page RPT Rule 8 and which Chris tried to duck, leading by the way, until the chairman called him and made him attend. So it was Chairman Rinaldi and then officials committee members, there's 7 of them up there, they're kind of the board of directors of the State Republican Executive Committee. When is one of the members. But it was Matt Rinaldi and it was Matt Patrick, 2 Matts.
It's okay, nobody's gonna take it.
Patrick wrote an official summary of the mediation process.
You're not pin pop anymore, Casey. Nobody's gonna take your food. But you can breathe while you're eating. It's okay.
And from the SRC.
It's okay.
The summary was originally confidential, but has since been released and is included in the declaration from Matt Patrick, and the manuscript. It speaks volumes about Preston's lapdog, James Byers. I won't read it all, but I will point out several items which Brian Chris tried to send in this late Saturday evening rebuttal to our writ announcement. The mediation letter is quite revealing and instructive. Mr. Patrick said, both sides agreed that Chairman Chris was the newly elected chair of the county park. Well, Brian Chris, in a spin machine newsletter Saturday evening, said as the county chair, he's a presiding officer, and that's not debatable, like we were debating that in the first place. I think it's implying that we as the chairs, who are also elected, are trying to steal his power. What he's doing right there is saying that he's saying he can do whatever he wants. And with most tyranny, he has vocal minority of supporters, including his mouthpiece, Byers. Most people who are familiar with organizations know that the body, in our case, of duly elected and appointed chairs, make the decisions for the organization, not one person. Otherwise, it's a dictatorship, right? So Patrick went on to say both sides acknowledge that we conservatives, a procedure group, has the majority of the members. That's pretty big pronouncement of the background procedure list. Christian Byers now say they have the majority, most certainly from their illegitimate appointments. Patrick goes on to say this point is particularly important since it impacts so much of what has been happening since the organizational meeting back on July 19th and reconvened on July 23rd. followed by Chris calling of illegitimate, those are my words, competing meetings, whether those meetings have quorum, and whether any decisions of those meetings are valid, including subsequent appointments of new precinct chairs. The third point Patrick made was, while each side rehashed its grievances, the precinct chair group, which was us, the conservatives, was more inclined to make concessions and more desirous of bringing the county party back together. If you still read the Golden Hammer, Gallup reported, quoting Rinaldi, that neither side was willing to work towards a solution, which is not true. Shortly thereafter that morning, when I saw the article came out, JB and I separately queried Gallup about that. It turns out he never talked to Chairman Rinaldi, nor even read the mediation recap. As I had to send it to him after my text exchange with him. So I asked him to change his blast, his blog, and he refused and said he was going to put the mediation letter the next day, which he never did. I might add that Gallup also said the party did nothing in the last election. More misinformation. The party actually spent over $15,000 on 33,000 mailers, plus 20,000 block walking push cards to get out the vote, of which none of Chris' sycophants participated. Remember all the boxes that we had stacked up over here, left over from them that we were handing out? Instead, they claimed that we committed fraud and embezzled party money. 22,000 of which we fully account for in the Texas Ethics Commission reports by Charles Shirley, who, by the way, Chris tried to replace by a fraudulent letter to the Ethics Commission. Can't make it up. The rest of the 30,000 is safely kept away from their lead hooks as mandated by our PAC, who they've also slandered as having committed fraud and embezzlement, along with me, John McShay, and Charles Shirley. The fourth point Mr. Patrick made was Mr. Byers seems to be a significant source of the problem. After the Golden Hammer released that article, Byers went into Facebook version of that report, reinforcing this information and claiming Mr. Patrick was damaged goods. I think it's Byers who's damaged goods. Besides, I think it's safe to say that when you got Kim Weber, DJ Fight, Mary Jo Huddle, and others set him straight. Way to go, ladies. In conclusion, Matt Patrick said ultimately the ref, in my assessment, is a result of complete failure of leadership by Chairman Chris. He went on to say, Mr. Chris has not only failed in his principal duty, but seemed entirely uninterested in solving the problem. On questioning, he offered no solutions nor explanations of how things have gotten this far under his tenure. It will be unfortunate for the precinct chairs and for Republican voters of Montgomery County to continue in this vein, but ultimately it will be up to the voters of the county to replace him in the next cycle, barring further action before them. No wonder he won the award from Texas Solar. Oh, and one more thing in Chris' newsletter to show you how petty Chris and his wife are. The majority of us are in the developing stages of a fun bowling party fundraiser. In his newsletter, he said not to support that. How can you be for the party if you're undermining events that we're trying to raise money? He didn't lift a finger to raise money in the last week off tournaments with a luau or gala that we did. Talk about scorched earth. What does that tell you about their sport? They only want to use the party as their tool to get their crony candidates elected. And all you conservatives out there need to just sit down and shut up. Some of you might know that they call a mercy steering committee meeting for this evening at this time to counter this meeting. It's who they are. So past the future, many of you are aware of the video from Charlie Riley's victory celebration 4 years ago when he said there are a number of precinct chairs that need to be gone. Okay, 4 years ago. By the way, that's redneck speak for replace. And the chairman's wife, Kristen Colchrist, has been working overtime since then to do just that by Hooker Crook. So where do we go from here? A mandate is normally filed to compel government officials to do their job, as I said. But as our attorney is pointing out, Texas Election Code 161.009 allows writs and mandates to be filed against those violating the election code. It says party officials are subject to mandamus. The law he's violating, amongst all the rules that he's breaking, is Election Code 171.024E, which compels him to keep an updated list of precinctures and vacancies. And our legitimate, fully documented duties, we appointed officers of precinctures going back to August 13th. At the same time, he's legitimately called meetings and thus illegitimate appointments of precinctures later, often for same positions we've already appointed. Not to mention he was late filing the ones who were elected on May 24th of last year with the Secretary of State. It's another law violation. It's a mess. It's a hot mess. He's a mess. The vocal minority is a mess. And yet, Chris and his wife are too prideful to admit the mistakes they made and are going scorched earth. Please read the lawsuit. Form your own opinion based on the facts presented. And yet, so most are supported by video evidence, and we have 60 some odd written declarations to back it up. We hope to hear something within a couple of weeks from the Supreme Court. If you'd like to help with further expenses of the lawsuit, come talk to me after. Give me your cell or call me at 281-381-6774. Thank you very much.
I don't know why I handed you the mic, but okay.
You look like the kind of guy that's gonna use
Tonight,
the
we're going to
microphone.
talk about our legislative priorities and our legislative team, what we're doing. You can hear from members of the legislative team. As you know, there's legislative priorities of the Republican Party of Texas. Our communications group has been trying to find a way to craft this into the website in a very meaningful way to keep everybody apprised of what's going on with the legislative priorities for the Republican Party of Texas. Our part of the party, we have a legislative team under Bonnie Lyons that has been working very hard to get this done. She also hosted an event with Campaign for Liberty. We had about 100 people, maybe some people show up for training for activism. So we're doing a lot in this part of the party. So when you hear you guys just need to get along, you have one section of the party with the majority of people who are all up there working as John outlined, and then you have the other side trying to undermine what we're doing. They're really not accomplishing anything. Now, before I turn it over to the legislative team, Rita is going to go first, I guess. And before I do that, I just want to say one thing. If the writ of mandamus goes and the Supreme Court says we don't want to touch that, and the courts say we don't want to touch that, and the Secretary of State says we don't want to touch that, this goes all the way back to the Republican Party of Texas. And that's what Montgomery County is doing right now. We are forcing this issue because there are over 40 chairs in the state of Texas right now that have gone rogue in this way. It is imperative in our open primaries that we don't have Democrats electing Republican Party leadership. Amen? Thank you. So we are going to push this. We go to the Republican Party. They say, well, we don't want to touch it because we're afraid of what the Texas election code might say. You guys go to the courts and test the waters and take care of that. So that's what we're doing. So we're going to exhaust the state, the courts, and then we're going to go back to the RPT and say your rules are explicit, enforce them, or throw them away and just go home because y'all aren't doing anything. So that's what we're doing. That's what Montgomery County's doing. I want you guys to know that. Rita, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you so much. I'll turn it over to Bob back.
So our legislative committee is Montgomery County Republican Party Legislative Committee. And within that, we have a number of different represented here. And Virginia is with, Act for America, right? Okay. Dr. Young will be speaking a little bit. He's with another organization. I'm here supporting the church. But we'll get into these. We're passing out some of the legislative bills that are out there now. The post for the bills isn't until March 10th. So we've still got probably another 1,000 bills that will end up being presented. But this is an ongoing thing. Right now, the main concern tonight is there's good bills and there's bad bills, and the good bills that are being presented, we need you to call up our state reps and get them to support them. And the bad bills, we need you to call them up and say, I'll support them. And remind them that we are the bosses and we do the voting.
Hi, y'all. My name is Rafita, and as you provide for the legislative Montgomery County legislative team, and also the PAC for America. I do national grassroots legislation, so I work with all 50 states. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Can you hear me now? Oh, hi, y'all. Sorry. So, my name is Rafita. I think I said for the people who didn't hear me, I'm just going to repeat that. I work with the Montgomery County legislative team, and I also work for Act for America. I do national legislation and grassroots coordination, which means that I come to groups like this and I talk to people about what we do and how easy it is for you to help us push legislation. One of the questions that I get asked is like how I got started into this, and I want to briefly just kind of touch base. I'm not originally from Montgomery County. I'm new to Montgomery County. I love it here, by the way. I feel like I found my people. But I come from behind enemy lines. Yes, I do. How many people here have come from some place that is very leftist, or have at least visited one recently? There we go. One hand right there for my sister. I feel you. So we have, big problems in the state of Washington where I came from. And the list is so long that I can be here for days. So I'm just going to say there are a couple things that I recognize over the 20 years that I was there trying to, be a good citizen and make some change there that was happening. And with Act for America, we've discussed this at quite a length. We were doing just national legislative actions, and we realized after 2020 and the pandemic happened, and in Washington, we were losing our jobs because we wouldn't get jabbed. We had freedom rallies. I mean, you name it, I've been involved in so many different political activism. But the one takeaway is that even with all the evidence that we had, so we're working on election integrity, I took it to the sheriff's department. The sheriff's department said, well, we really do need to have, some kind of intent here. So we wouldn't do anything about anything. We started realizing, and this was happening all over the nation now, we were realizing that we have brought people at the local level, right? Really brought people at the local level. And if we don't get those people out,
Thank you very much.
we're never going to make any progress. And so I started becoming more of an advocate for watching local legislation and what is happening in my county, what is happening in my city legislation, what is happening on the school boards. Unfortunately, it's a little too late for Washington State. Washington passed a law saying that you can't audit an election. They also passed a law that says that if your child is 13 years old, that they don't have to tell you if your child wants an abortion or if they want a sex change. And that better be on all of us parents. So I'm here basically to, one, show you guys how to get on your state's website to actively watch committees speak about bills and how to write them. I'm also going to show you how to get onto our website for Act for America because we write campaigns for people. You can get an email from us you can click a little button and poof, off goes, a letter to your legislator. So I'm gonna be sharing all of that with you guys today. Does anybody have any questions before I begin? How many people know how to get onto the state website and actually? Okay, some people, a handful of people. Okay, one of the biggest things that people came to me and always asked me was, well, I don't know how to write my legislator. So before I came to the meeting today, I decided that I would put together a little PowerPoint for you on step-by-step instructions on how to get to it. And if anybody wants this, you have my number, you can actually come up to me, I can give you my card, I can send you a copy of this PowerPoint, so you can have it at home. I know everything's maybe a little small to read. So we're gonna show where to find the House bills, how to watch the broadcast committees, how to contact the representative, and then how to get our action alerts and the like that here. So the first thing you want to do is you just want yeah. Sorry about this, guys.
Can you put it on full screen, please?
I'm sorry, I broke my hand while we were sitting with my kids 2 weeks ago, so I'm a little challenged right now with my. I don't know where I get it on full screen.
Presentation mode. Go to the slideshow, go up to slideshow. It's in the top right hand corner.
Oh, here we go, okay.
Top right hand, there you go, slide. Yeah.
There we go. Oops,
Close
I don't
that.
think that was the right button.
Yes, close that, close it, close that.
Okay.
There you go. Now you can just
Oh,
right click it.
nice. Thank you so much. This is my first time doing a, presentation with. Okay. All right, here we go. First thing you want to do is you want to go to capital.texas.gov, and then you want to click on House, and then Members, and then you're going to select your representative. Now I select Cook because we've got a lot of individuals for us right now out there as far as comprehensive. Yes. So you go to the Capitol's website, and then you go to members, as you can see. And then the next step you'll want to do is select the representative. Now, I highly suggest going to each representative specifically because you can find out which ones they're doing. You can go to the person's website that you don't like what they're saying. You know, some of the Democrats, and then you can get on there and you can write them and you can play with them too. So then what you're gonna wanna do is gonna find your representative, and then you're gonna click on visit homepage on Texas House of Representatives website. It says purple up there. And then you're gonna click on email. And then you're gonna fill out all your information. You make sure that you have your bill numbers ready, what you wanna write them about. In complete support of this is exactly what I want, or this is not something I want, or even if you just want a little tweak. Maybe you read the bill and you think to yourself, wait a second, something's missing here, or I don't like the way that it's written. And then just tell them what you think, because they really do like our feedback. I constantly talk to legislators, and they're always telling me that they really like to hear what our feedback is, because it kind of helps them get a sense of what are we, doing? Are we doing this the right way? Is this what everybody wants? So I highly suggest that you write down phone numbers and you talk to them about what it is that they're saying and doing. Right now, as we know, we only have a session here every year. We have a lot of bills on the table for the state of Texas. You can see right here that we've given you 2 sheets with a lot of legislation to look at. You might not want to comment on every single one, but it is very, very important that we all have a voice. The more of us that get on and write or call our legislators, the more power they have. They take one person's comments and apply it to 1,000 people. They consider one person's comment the voice of 1,000 people, y'all. Imagine if every single one of us wrote in today. That is epically huge coming out of Warren County, right? And then if we tell our friends, say we know someone who lives in San Antonio, pass that on to them, tell them to do it. And then there are 1,000 voices right there. Maybe they know a friend. The power of one is absolutely exponential. It really is. Does anybody have any questions for me about the portion of the Texas State website? No questions? Okay, I must have been thorough.
You said that we could get the PowerPoint so we can go through this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you want to, I can give you my card and then you can, just come see me and I'll give you my business card and then we'll get it to you. Anybody else who wants it to, can have the PowerPoint so you can kind of know how to get on it. At first it's a little intimidating, but once you get through it, and you do it a few times, it becomes so happy and kind of becomes fun because they write you back, and the bureaucrats are really fun, but when they write you back, sometimes they're very, trying to be nice or whatever, but you can tell you get done now, and that's just satisfying, I think. I don't know about you, but I think that's rad. So, the next thing we want to do is we want to learn how we can watch these meetings. We want to kind of learn when are these meetings? How do we do these? Can you watch them? Everybody always asks me that, and yes, you can. So you want to go to that same website and then go to committees. You can see the text highlighted. You're going to see all of the committee meetings. Here's where you can actually schedule at the top left here to actually go to a committee meeting, which is kind of cool if you want to drive often. Maybe we can all have a big sermon and go there together and start yelling at people. So, you can sign up to do that, but you can see what meeting is next, and then you can watch that meeting. You can go to meetings by date and have these two slides got turned around. Sorry, I don't know how my kids must have been. And so the next thing is to watch these live, you want to go to the Capitol Texas.gov, and then you want to go over to legislative activity, and you see where it says live broadcast. So you can see the House ones are there and the Senate ones are there. And so if you click on that, it will take you to the available. If you click on it for today, it said that they're closed until tomorrow, so there's nothing on there to see. But if you click on it tomorrow, all of the meetings that you're having that day, you can sit and watch, which can be very entertaining. I highly suggest you do it on a state that's a little more controversial, because that's always fun. Like if you go to Washington State committee meetings and you've got them like yelling at each other and all kinds of crazy. It's crazy. So I highly suggest watching them, commenting on them, maybe going to, take a field trip one day to the Capitol and just go stand up there and tell what you think. We need people to participate, guys. We really, really do. I see it all over the nation. Time after time again, I'll go to meetings and people ask me what to do. People really don't do anything. And they don't know how to do something. They say they don't have time to do anything. And, the left, they're like beggars to grave. Like, and they have some kind of gene or something that just like makes them nonstop ever. It's literally crazy, right? And what can we do about it? I mean, part of me wants to just put them over my knee and give them a pedal. But we obviously can't do that, right? So the next best thing is to have a loud voice as they do, right? Have a really loud voice. So the next thing then I'm going to do is take you to our site, because we send out emails as African America. We send out emails to all of our members. We launch legislation in the states. Now we've gotten to the county level, where I just sent out, last time the school board for Conroe had a meeting, I sent out to 1,100 people who were members of ours in that county and said, hey, y'all need to come to this meeting because they're about ready to vote on a local reconsideration. And we need to pay attention to this, right? And so I'm going to send out another email actually for tomorrow's meeting. Getting down on the local level is one of the most important things we can do, you guys. Like watching our counties, our school boards, our cities, and watching who we're voting for and making sure they're the right people, our prosecuting attorneys, etc. We are now becoming more state-oriented and more county-oriented. As you can see, I pulled up Act for America, and I went to the Act Now right here and see how it says you have a national or the states. So even if you don't sign up for our emails, you can get on here anytime you want to and check to see what we have going on for Texas. Now, I recently decided I didn't have enough things to do with 5 children and had a job, and I decided I would be the state chapter leader for Act for America. So now I'm running the state chapter, and we'll be getting emails often for Texas new campaigns that coordinate with all of the bills that are coming up. So I'm going to click on this one, the right one we just did on the 5th, and I'll show you how really easy it is to just kind of click. I'm sorry, again, my one hand here is, okay. So basically, we have a parent for rights. We talk about, we'll give a little summary right here, talk about which bills we're supporting, House Bill 631, House Bill 360. And we want to vote yes on those. That's what we said. This is what we want. And so what you do is you just sip your coffee and you click on this after you're opening your email, and then you're going to autofill all of your information, and you're going to click submit. Of course, it doesn't like to come through. Then you're going to click submit. And then it's going to show you, like, are these your representatives? And you're going to be like, yes, they are. As a matter of fact, my representatives here in the great state of Texas. And then you are going to email them with a pre-made email. We just made it really simple for you. You don't have to think about it. You just look at it. You're like, look at that. I got an email. All right. I'm going to confirm that email. I don't know what they have to say. And then you petition it. And easy peasy, one click, right? And then, so we think, there we go. You can Facebook, you can Twitter. We have a script even if you want to call them. Here's their phone numbers. You can call them. You can say whatever you want to say, or you can say what we told you that might be a good idea to say. So it's a really, really easy thing to do. And we have a ton. I mean, if you want to get national, you can get national. You want to get state, you can get state. We're all about anything and everything that is affecting us with the woke cancer, the plague of the woke right now, and getting rid of that, because it is really a problem. And I don't know about you, but I love my country, and I'm not about to not do anything about it. And I want my children to be proud of me. As a matter of fact, tonight, little side note, it was really cute. I have 8-year-old twins at home. And I'm getting ready for this meeting all day, and I'm struggling with my PowerPoint, making my PowerPoint go off my hand and everything. My daughter, she says, writes me this, draws me this little picture, and she's like, good for you, save America, and she's like, got all these like really, powerful things that like help me not be nervous and to just keep going when I don't feel incredibly motivated. Yes, sir.
Can you tell us what that address is at?
It's actforamerica.org.
The number 4?
No, F-O-R.
FORAmerica.org.
Yes. Yep, .org. And actually, ACT is short for action. So it's Action for America, basically, actforamerica.com. And so, .org. Does anybody have any more questions? They're back there. Hi.
Show us the script was already printed, can we print that ourselves?
Well, I mean, imagine if you go on there, you could probably copy paste it. Yeah, I mean, you could probably copy paste it off of there, you could look at it and type it out really quick. Yeah, I don't have, I couldn't possibly keep up with all the people who would be asking you to send that for sure. Any more questions? Does anybody have anything for me before I pass the mic? No? Okay, well, I'm glad that you listened to me very, with pleasure speaking with all of you, and thank you so much for your time, and I'm gonna pass it on to the next speaker.
Yes. He's got the shortest one, yeah.
This is not my book. I hate microphones, but I'm being forced. Believe me, my voice is carrying all the way to Washington, D.C. Real simple. I am charged with looking at bills that affect our Second Amendment rights, and there were three that I looked at, and the first one is Senate Bill 913, which requires all of us who own firearms to have mandatory liability insurance. So if that is liability insurance for each and every weapon that we own, regardless of type, long gun, handgun, assault rifle, whatever, makes no difference. So go ahead and look up Senate Bill 913. If you own a firearm, or know those that do, because you will be affected, and the fines are not nickels and dimes. They are severe.
You said you have to have insurance under this bill?
Yes. This is one of those mandatory things that they're trying to, in essence, control our ability to have weapons.
For the record, insurance is unconstitutional in any light.
Wow, thank you, Senator.
So this is one of those you need to let the folks up there in Austin know that you're definitely not in favor of it. Yes, sir.
Do you know the representative that sponsored that bill?
We'd
We'd like to reach out to him directly. I think all of us can
Here, I'll
agree.
be in Austin tomorrow.
I think we'd all like to send him a message on our way home today.
What's interesting is it's not very big. It's one simple sheet of paper.
Boo.
But
Well,
it is by Gutierrez, Eckhart, and Menendez. Do any of those names ring a bell to any of y'all?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So the next one is House Bill 447, which requires a mandatory collection of sales and use taxes for what are considered assault weapons. That is very good question.
Started $600 million.
The assault weapon, in that they have put together a list in their bill of what they consider to be weapons of an assault nature. And it is an extremely extensive list. It is by, they listed by manufacturer, they listed by model number, they listed by every conceivable description you can think of. But once again, it's a grab at our Second Amendment rights. The next one is House Bill 925, and this is a big one. It is 13 pages long, and it is a bill that raises the age of firearms, the sale This bill also targets what are considered assault weapons, and there is an extensive list by manufacturer and model for these weapons. Now, the second bill that I mentioned was proposed by Thierry, Thierry. In the last bill, this long, extensive one, was proposed by Representative Senator Dutton, D-U-T-T-O-N. So follow these on the website, and you will be surprised at how much traction these particular bills are getting. Once again, if we don't defend our Second Amendment rights, no one will. So let them know what your feelings are. The one that bothers me the most is the one that was mentioned first. I don't like anybody telling me what I have to pay for. That should be my choice and not government shoving it down my throat. And that is what's happening all too often with so many of the things going on today. Sit down, Pilgrim, shut up. This is what you're going to do, and if you don't like it, that's your problem, not mine. That's what's happening. So, on a lighter note, I want everyone here to know I have in my car a almost brand spanking new Brother printer, copier, and fax machine with a brand new toner in it that I am asking the grand sum total of $50 for. So if anybody's interested, come see me after the meeting. I don't need 3 printers at the house. So thank you so much for your attention, but follow along.
Nice speech to the end. No, I'm kidding.
Y'all take care.
My name is Audrey Warner, and I'm new to all this, so I'm helping in the legislative committee, and I chose the ban gender modification, reassignments, treatments, procedures, and also the sexualizing of Texas kids. So that 4-page thing that I passed out, those are all bills that I chose that I thought applied to that. Some of them directly, some of them I thought could be into that same topic. So I haven't read them all, I haven't studied them all very clearly, I have written a few legislatures and gotten answers back, not the answers that I wanted, but just for example, there's one about being able to change the sex on your birth certificate. So if that goes through, then that means you can have a biological male that is now a female by a birth certificate in girls' sports. So that has to be squelched. That can't go through. So if this is just things that I chose that I thought applied to this banning gender modification, reassignment, and sexualizing our children. So, and as Bob said, there's probably 1,000 more yet to come.
Dr. Young, one of our America's first doctors, frontline doctors, is going to be doing us some info on some of the bills that are being presented, some really bad stuff that's there as well.
Thanks, Bob. I don't know if everybody knows me about Clay. I'm probably better known as Virginia's husband. Most of they work for our family. So I'm going to talk about a few things. The main thing. You know me okay? So back up now is a list is composed and evaluated the recent as this morning we were printing the most recent evaluated bills on the way over here. It's composed by the National Vaccine Information Center. And if you go to the top of the page, there's a URL NDICadvocacy.org, you can sign up for alerts, and they also have all these bills evaluations, whether those support, and that's updated almost on a daily basis. The Virginia and I have been working on this probably 20 years. The lady that is at NDIC National now, her name is Don Richardson, together with Rebecca Rex and Virginia, probably 20 years ago, they originally at the Capitol advocating for the first parental conscience exemption for vaccines that we have on the record, so now we're actually trying to revoke them in 2015. So they've been at it for quite a while. So there's a number of bills about vaccines, as you can imagine, mostly because of COVID, but we're going to take this chance to take advantage of what the Democrats say they were let our prices go to waste. So the Holy Grail vaccine legislation that we get passed is SB 304, it's the bottom of the second page. And that is up by Dr. Senator Hall, who supports, he's probably got 50 bills on the matter. This was at the last session. You can read there's vaccine mandates and discrimination based on vaccination and community status that provides for penalties. This has got the most teeth of anything that's on this list. And if we could get anything passed, that would be it. So that was the big one. The other ones are all good as well. But they're kind of a breakdown in case they can't get everything in the monster bill that we want to get passed. The second one I want to call your attention to is 302. There are different things I want to point out because there are different parts of these vaccine bills. This one is established civil liability for employee damages if an employer suffers an adverse event from a vaccine requirement imposed by our employer. That's going to be the Texas books. Currently, they are immune from everything based on laws passed by someone like Ron, unfortunately. Let's see, next three, you'll get support. SB 297 requires hospitals to adopt, implement, and enforce a written policy to ensure patients' rights. So we all heard of times when patients were trying to get ivermectin or high support when in the hospital or have their loved ones bring them into them, even get discharged from the hospital so they can get that type of therapy. That covers that as well. Let's see. And I talked fast if you have any questions. Slow me down and I'll do the best I can to answer them. One of them is not a vaccine, but it's kind of the same playing field. There's a bill by Shaheen in the House. It's HB 595. It's not on this list. You may want to write it out if you're interested. But that is a bill that allows physicians to dispense drugs in their office. Texas is one of the only, I think, 11 states in the union that does not allow this. So all those stories that you've heard about, people not going to the pharmacist and not being able to fill their prescriptions with pharmacy refusal, yada, this would totally get rid of that. It also cuts out middlemen and all the pharmacy benefit managers. You go to your doctor, you get a prescription, you fill it in the office, and you go home. It's be a substantial savings to everybody. I think I mentioned it at the beginning that this is probably one of the first years that we have more bills that are actually supporting and opposing. Because lots of time we're trying to incrementally chip away at our rights. So the ones to so if you go to back to the second page, I believe, proposed Senate Bill 342, which eliminates current law and requires written consent and information to be put in and kept in the vaccine tracking system. You know, want to eliminate 4% at all. Next one is HB 1105 and Senate Bill 749 to oppose. This basically allows pharmacists to administer vaccines to children under 3 with physician referral. They're not actually not that they're equipped to do that, period, much less for children. Another one to oppose, and then you have to see it for what it is. We've seen this over the years, but it says allow child care facilities to produce most percentage of children and employers that are vaccinated. So we saw this a couple of sessions ago. They were trying to get the schools to report what kids were vaccinated and what's not, and would be accessible to the general population. And it's really a tracking bill, so what they use that to is to say there's a pandemic, surprise, and they go through that bill and then they say, John, he's not vaccinated, he can't come to school. And then there's other reasons for the tracking as well. But then we have our any questions so far? I'll talk about fast. Then we have below Steve Tuck has several bills. One related to medical professionals is related to in-person visitations with hospital patients during certain periods of disaster. We all have trouble with that. He also has one that's HB 551 related to the study of prevalence and use of psychoactive and psychotropic medications in persons that commit suicide. This stemmed out of a bill, Steve ran me here, so I don't think I'll step on his toes, but he had a bill last session that there's a study through the Veterans Administration of people that were on psychotropic meds, primarily SSRIs, treated for post-traumatic stress disorder, had suicide rate that was far above people that weren't treated with those medications. So it kind of dovetails in the last study, so we can look at that. And then another one said variety was sexual stuff, criminal rights and public education, and prohibiting certain instructions regarding sexual orientation and gender identity. And then that's last, here's some more medical ones. The medical legislation, not sure which page is in. Some of these, basically if you see something that Senator Hall is writing, they can pretty much support it. Senate Bill 299 provides that a hospital, the length of health services provide a hospital by a physician who is not a member of the hospital medical staff, and a hospital liability for health services provided by. That's going to be a tough one to get through because I can tell you that it takes probably 3 months to get somebody credentialed in any hospital, and I understand the reasoning for that. I have to look at the bill a little bit more and maybe talk with Senator Hall. But the reason for that is y'all can imagine there are people in the hospital that want to bring in physicians with alternative therapy they weren't allowed to do or because they weren't credentialed. So that's an embryo on that. And then Senate Bill 300 is related to the pharmacist's authority to refuse to dispense a drug. This goes back to the end Iowa Act and I talked before when many pharmacists were refusing to write those or fill those even though they don't have a license to practice medicine. Senate Bill 301 is related. And then Senate Bill 310, we're supporting any public health directive cannot be more stringent than a public health directive for the legal immigrants. The last one is mental health bills. And you can read over theirs and see if you have any questions. One on the back to call your attention to is SB 113 by Mendez and HB 98 by Moody. And last school district provide mental health services and bill Medicaid for it. Actually sounds like a local mental health authority would be the provider, but the school district would bill for it. I don't know about that particular bill, but there's, I can't remember which bill was passed. It was part of the healthcare consortium with gay universities and schools access to our kids to evaluate them for psychological disorders and treat them without any parental consent. So we need to get them out of our kids' lives.
SB 10.
SB10. And that was actually a present from Mr. Phelan at the very last minute, right?
I don't know if it was feeling it, but that was one of those two.
Yeah.
Something that SB 11.
We got it killed, and at the last minute, it dovetailed in on the other, on the back end of another bill. So, what kind of questions do y'all have about any of those?
I have a question.
Yeah.
CDC is requiring COVID to be part of the childhood community. Can we stop that?
I'm not sure exactly where it was in that process, but what CDC recommends, and it goes to another committee, it's called ACIP. But another part of that equation is they present it to the American Academy of Pediatrics and the American Academy of Family Physicians, and they have to go along with it too. So I don't know where they're at within that process, but that was. Probably the best way to attack it, to be honest with you, is call your physician and say, if I find out you're supporting this, I'm finding another doctor. Because you're not, they have a meeting, CDC made up their mind, they're supposed to have a open request period, we could put in your comments and everything, and they already put out the statement that it was approved before the comments were even finished. So it was a foregone conclusion, so I think the way to get it is to put pressure on the doctors and try to keep it out. But if they do that at the federal level, the goal is with state things, we can keep doing that. And again, we still have the parental consciousness exemption. And most parents don't know about that. We get lots of phone calls about it because the school doesn't tell you about it. They say, you gotta get your shots to go to school. Even though they're required by law to tell you.
With the president ending the COVID emergency on May 11th, will we see something different for the next school season, or are we going to continue to see more of this ridiculous madness where they're trying to brainwash our children?
Is related to COVID?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna have a leg to stand on as far as, I know in this community that we're fed up with the school and mask orders and those types of things. But, you know, it's an interesting question because there's not a FDA approved COVID vaccine that's available in the United States. They're all under emergency investigation. So they got around there, they have an approved vaccine, but you can't get it in the United States. So as soon as the emergency order goes, a lot of stuff goes away. That's why they're postponing.
Well, because part of why I'm asking is at the beginning of the school year, I got a phone call from my kid's school nurse, and they said, "Hey, we're doing flu vaccines. Do you want us to give your child the flu vaccine?" And I said, "No." They're like, "What about the COVID vaccine?" I said, "Not a chance." So, and this is a public school here in Texas, so that's why I'm asking, like, with the president ending, quote unquote, this nonsense, will we see the pediatricians follow suit, or are we going to continue to see the propaganda just because we love hype?
So, I think you'll probably see it. I'll give you an example why. So, when they first came out with the vaccine, they got approved for children. And the other thing I have to remember is it's money maker, right? So, CISD came out with an email that went to all the parents. That put out Kelsey Siegel, I probably got so much trouble for this, but I'm okay. Kelsey Siegel is going to offer a shot clinic for kids, and they're using your email to the CISD to promote this service on a experimental vaccine that they were pushing to get into the kids, and they were all in. Okay, and then we had a group that were out there protesting, and we're handing out information in front of Kelsey Siegel as the parents are going in and holding up signs. Actually, we can't hold that information. And of course, the police showed up, and but at least I think we got some people to turn around. But to give you another example, and I'm going to ramble just because to answer your question, it's not going to stop. So if you remember, probably 2007, that in Montgomery County there was a meningitis outbreak, and they had people, and Kelsey people, again, was out offering meningitis vaccines. They had lines out the door, and everybody was saying, this is before we got super involved with all this. But you know how many, you know what constituted the outbreak for that?
3
It
kids.
was one man, elderly man in nursing home. That was the outbreak.
Wait, what?
Okay.
Did he
So
have
to
a
answer your
Did he have a
question-
criminal history with children, or like what's happening here?
So, the answer to the question is, they're gonna try to slide anything in, I think what they can, to keep power over the kids over you, quite frankly, to make money. Any other questions? Okay, good, thanks for your time.
Okay, our good friend that's gonna come up, you know, we have so many bills, we have so many different categories, so many items of interest that are out there that no one of us can know it all, and neither none of y'all can know it all. So even if we do this full time, we still don't know it all. Our previous mayor, Webb Melner from Conroe, would like to give us an update on the bill taking place.
Thank you, Bob. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Webb Elder. I've been a resident of Montgomery County for 60 years. 14 years of that 60 years, along with everyone in this room and along with everyone in Montgomery County, we've been under attack by SJRA.
San Jacinto River Authority.
San Jacinto River Authority, okay, Bob, there you go. And I don't want to detract from any of the speakers here tonight, or any of the bills that have been presented here tonight. A couple of things that I'd like to say to the Tea Party is, thank you for your support. Had the honor and the privilege to serve in the political arena for a long time. I want to recognize Councilman Mary Hartman, City of Conroe. I want to recognize President Jim Spiker, who's on the Longstone Board, and Director John Boucher, and John Twitter. Anyway, the Montgomery County Tea Party, Larry Rogers, who I had the honor and the privilege to serve with, you supported all these people, and thank you very much. But a big concern here, there's a $560 million bond that was shoved down our throats being the citizens of Montgomery County. And there's some bills floating around the Capitol that are going to try to circumvent, make an end run, come in the back door, and override our judicial system, and override the courts that we all know. And they want to shove the payment of this down our throats, your throats. It's not right. And the people responsible for this, you never hear about that. And to let them walk away unscathed, not be held accountable for what they did. As I told Senator Creighton and Representative Will Metcalf, this is unconscionable. Texas deserves better. I'm going to put a plug in right now for some people I've served with and I recognize. City of Conroe, the City of Magnolia, and some others are fighting. Don't buy into SJRA's PR program. They're doing a great job. Harry, thank y'all for you, the mayor, and the council, and the city, what you're doing, and anybody here from Magnolia, I thank you for that. President Spiker, I thank you for the fine job you and the board are doing. And again, John Lee, I want to thank John too. I don't want him chasing me down, telling me how he was for ignoring me. But anyway, getting back to this, and I'm not going to go into detail on these bills. I've already made you aware of some of what we're dealing with. If you have a pen and you want to write these down and you care to look them up or you care to talk to your senator or your representative, these are all water-related bills, have to do with water, groundwater districts, financing of water projects, infrastructure, etc. House Bill 1699, House Bill 1646, 1971, 2483, 2460. Over in the Senate, we have Senate Bills 156, 296, 638, corresponding bill 735, and Senate Bill 837, and there's an SJR, and I don't know what that SJR is for, SJR 43. But these are important bills. These are important bills, and I hope you'll take the time to look into them. Yes, sir.
Of those that you just mentioned, which one, in your opinion, is the most egregious?
Will you give me 1 second? Let me look at my phone. All right.
I'll find that for you, sir.
Bob, probably, because he wanted to make this announcement after his speech, but Warren Vickers has some cupcakes and cookies back in the back of the room before you leave. Celebrating Larry's birthday.
All right.
Over in the House, HJR 116, in the Senate, HJR 43, House Bill 837, and we can get back up here and see if I can find Tracy King's.
Webbo, repeat those, please.
Oh, now you're challenging me, Bob. Did anybody write this down? Okay. Anyway, but for those of y'all that do not know, the San Jacinto River Authority has a federal antitrust suit against them. And this bill is going to attempt to circumvent the court system and force us to pay that bonded debt, which none of us had a vote on. And it's just not right. And like I say, I don't want to take anything away from what this gentleman said, or the lady said, or the good doctor said about any of these other bills. They're all important. And Larry, you said a while ago, you're never too young, you're never too old to get involved. And I think all of us know here, the truth is not always palatable. We all prefer candy bars. So, I thank you, Bob, John, thank you, and the Tea Party for allowing me to share these bills and this concern that we have here. And I wish everybody all the best.
All right, I'm gonna close out with this one. You've got, seven pages, 8 pages, on this sheet that was passed out. This was put together by, Turf. It's an organization, trying to do away with the toll roads. There's a lot of good information on here. There's a lot of bills. She broke it down, good bills, bad bills. state gasoline tax, the primary source of funding our state highway system. This bill would impose an additional fee to register new electric vehicles in the amount of $400 and used EVs of $200 per year to pay for the cost of using our roads. It's a big deal when they don't pay for anything.
They literally don't pay for anything because now there is a grant that is available for any size business, whether it's a sole proprietorship all the way up to the big oil companies, to get free grant money to get new LNG, electric vehicles, fill in the blank, that's any hydro, whatever it is, the hydrogenics or whatever, all of it. They're advertising this on the radio now to make it more affordable for companies to get these more tax breaks, and so that they can make it more energy efficient for 2020 whatever. It's not out of the goodness of their hearts, I assure you.
There's a number of things that happen with our roads. If you're on here, I might go for one of them, and I did pick out some good ones and some bad ones, but you can get a good idea looking at them. So, if you remember a few years ago, Interstate 10 had an HOV lane, and then they decided to make the HOV lane a toll road as well. Now, we already paid for that with our taxes. Well, it wasn't too long after that TxDOT did the same thing here on 45 coming south, where we had an HOV lane, and then they turned it into another taxing entity by putting it on the toll road. We protested the toll road that went in on 242, the overpass on 242, and they told us, they guaranteed us that when it was paid for, that they would no longer charge. And it took us over a year of fighting them to get them to stop it. And we did, we won finally. But part of that was they had the money to build the other part of the flyover, which goes to the east on 242, off of 45, and that still hasn't even started yet. And that we've been looking at that for 5 years. So there's a lot of stuff that happens with our roads that we're not even aware of. So once again, our commissioner out there in the west is abusing power by taking money from the toll roads and using it on other roads. Yes, sir.
And remember, in Harris County, the Harris County Toll Road Authority, once those were paid off, because I lived there as a teenager, once those were paid off, it was going to go. That was in the 80s. That was promised and sold.
Right.
And who's still paying for their tolls on that?
Well, we're still paying for the tolls because they continue to expand, and they did away with. There was a catch with that as well, because they had all these employees that they had to pay medical for, and they had to pay retirement for, and all this that were for the toll road authority. And so that when they did away with the boost, they got rid of a lot of employees. So they still got more money coming in than they had coming in from before. They've increased the rates on some of the roads, and yet they still haven't resolved the toll roads.
And they're still paying for toll roads that don't exist in West Texas.
I don't know about West Texas.
They have a toll road authority.
So as a kid, Interstate 20 was a toll road up in Dallas, and they took the toll down after it was paid for. The first and only one in the state of Texas that removed the toll until we had one on 242 that was shut down. Our government is so out of control, it's unbelievable. They're talking about making the roads smaller, less traffic, so that they can have bike lanes. And I saw this take place in California, where they took over one whole lane, turned it into a bike lane and walking. And it's all part of UN Agenda 20. So. I don't have anything else. We've got a ton of bills that still are going to be started. I left it in my book, man. But we're gonna start going to Austin after the committee hearings, when they start actually going through, and we have an opportunity to testify before the committees. And it's really important that we get as many people up there as possible. In the meantime, you can do the stuff on Act for America that was there, put your comments in and get it out. And all the bills we have tonight, if you read them, you can look them up, do whatever. Call your state rep or your senator and let them know how you feel. And if you, the committee people that are there, for the special committees, the people that are on the committees, you can do the same thing. Okay, she's leaving. So CISD school board meeting is tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. If you want to attend, we're still having problems with the pornography in our schools. We're still having problems with allowing them to talk about different sexes and what we are and what we aren't. I know she's a woman, I don't have to check it, but I know.
Don't make it awkward.
Yeah, right. I just wanted to be there. We have our school board meeting tomorrow at 6 p.m. We need you guys. There's a lot of things on the agenda right now. Just getting parents' rights. We've got the book revision policy that is on the agenda this month. The smart tags, the RFID chips are on the agenda this month. So really need you guys to sign up for public comment or even send an email. It really means a lot. I mean, I don't know if you guys know, we were there till 2 a.m. last month. 37 people signed up for public comments. And it just really helps to get the community involved because that's why we're there. We're just there as your voices. So to have you guys there really means a lot. So encourage you to be there at 6 o'clock. You can go to the website and sign up to speak at public comment or the one to see you there or hear an email in support of all of the awesome things that the parents in the driver's seat. Yes, sir.
Still going to be at the Sadler CISD administration building?
Yeah, and the admin building there. Mm-hmm. All right. Thanks so much, you guys. Really appreciate your support.
So when you keep the school board there until 1 o'clock, they don't get any extra pay, but you don't have to.
We doubled it.
If you really want to get involved, be very active. Legislative priority committee obviously does a lot of work. So, encourage you. We have any other announcement? Betty, you want to make an announcement? We got a couple more.
Real quickly, March 2nd, Michael Quinn Sullivan will be our keynote speaker at Eagle Forum. It's at Incredible Pizza. Our meeting starts at 6:30. You can come as early as you want. We have a prayer meeting at 5:30 from 5:30 to 6. We've got prayer warriors in here. Do you think that we're going to win this by just beating the doors down? We are fighting a spiritual war. We need to pray. So 5:30 to 6 is the prayer time. Then from 6 to 6:30, you can go get some more food. But Michael Quinn Sullivan, he'll be sharing with us about the legislative session. More bills are going to be filed. We're going to be a little farther down the line. So it's going to be next Thursday.
DJ?
To remember, if you haven't paid your dues for 2023, we'll be happy to take that program out of there. And several people have asked me about the alternative steering committee meeting that happened tonight.
Yeah.
They really didn't do anything. They did have a social. There were several people there that were running for office, particularly on the constables and sheriff and that sort of sheriff guy. And, but the steering committee meeting was, the only thing they accomplished was to determine that they were going to continue to have their steering committee meetings via Zoom. And they nominated, Lori Clifton to take over as the outreach chairman because Annette Kerr quit. That was it.
Well, is anyone surprised that they couldn't make it go longer?
We have another announcement here.
That was the longest.
On their agenda, they had for discussion the 2023 logistics of the steering committee. That was these people having the Zoom meetings. And they had 2023 logistics for the CEC. But Ryan's statement was, whatever prompted them to put that on the agenda had since been resolved, and it was irrelevant. So we have no idea what they meant by that.
Brian is irrelevant.
I did ask him about the headquarters, face to face, and he said, well, nothing's changed. Everything's still the same. And I said, well, then why can't I get my access code back so I can get in here on Saturday and have this training and things that are coming up? And he said, well, Dorothy Woodall is in charge of all the,
Okay, we got another announcement here.
My name is Michelle Knuckles, and sorry, I'm a loud talker. This is Shayla Parker, and we're with two moms and some books. And if you heard about us, we recently had a Brave Book story hour at the South Branch Library, where we read 3 Brave books. If you're not familiar with Brave Books, they are a conservative publishing company here in Conroe, and they tackle very serious issues that our kids are going to be faced with in ways that are appropriate for us to talk to them about it. We are continuing story hours with Christian and conservative books. This next story hour, we're going to have a writer come in and read her book, and we're also going to do a Brave book. We are keeping we are going to attempt to keep, please pray, inappropriate books out of the hands of children in the children's section of the library. We actually have a box of books that promote transitioning in children, picture books that we picked up from the library. You are welcome to take a look at them. We have them here. They are in the children's section. The child can pick up on their own. And we also have chapter books that are in the children's section as well. They're shocking. We are trying to get Christian and conservative books that are the other side of these opinions, like on the other side of transitioning. There's a book called Elephants Are Not Birds. That's through Brave Books. There's a few others. There's Beautiful Differences by Stephen Crowder. And there's another one. Johnny is not a walrus, or Johnny is a walrus, or something like that.
By Matt Walsh.
Yes, by Matt Walsh, that's right. So we're going to try and get books like that into the library because their policy says that there should be, all sides should be represented, but they're not. And the book, Irreversible Damage by Abigail Schreier, which is a very important book for adults to read. Any parent of a daughter needs to read. It's absolute must read. There's only one copy in the Montgomery library system in Montgomery, and there are 9 holds on it.
What was the name of that book again?
It's called Irreversible Damage by Abigail Schreier. She is a progressive, but she is on our side on this, and she presents the facts very well.
She's progressive, Aston? I'm sorry.
Yes, that's right, that's right.
That sounded controversial
So
to me,
this
like those two things in the
This
same
is an
sentence.
offer you can hand to your progressive friend
Wow,
who's concerned about their daughter.
fantastic.
Yeah, and they won't, she's not offensive.
How do you spell her last name?
Schreier.
Schreier? I'm sorry, I was trying to write it down.
S-H-I-E-I-R.
The only reason I ask is we all know that if you try to look it up and you don't spell it exactly like that,
Yes,
you're never
right.
gonna find it. So that's the
Yeah.
only reason why I interrupted you to ask.
No, that's okay.
Schreier.
And then keep an eye on our Substack is 2momsandsomebooks.substack.com. Keep an eye, we're doing some preliminary Substacks, and we got something that we hope will be big in April. Pray that we make an actual difference in April. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at 2momsandsomebooks. Thanks.
So, recently we've been fighting this with CISD and now some of the other schools that have pornography in our schools for the children not only to read, but also to do book reports on and to have oral book reports in the classroom, talking about acting out different sex things.
God.
When they brought out the thing with the libraries, over 20 years ago, we had an organization here in Montgomery County, Jim, Debbie, or Betty, and I don't know if anybody else is in here. We had 82 books in our county library that were so bad that they couldn't read what they said over the airwaves for Channel 2, Channel 11, when we were doing this, and they couldn't show the pictures because they'd get fined from the SEC because it was so bad. This was 20 years ago. Those books are still in our libraries. We had petitions, we gathered thousands of petitions, we went to commissioner's court. The commissioners didn't want to do anything about it, so they created a committee to review the books, which each one of the commissioners and the judge appointed somebody, and the librarian was the one that came up with the names for the people to go on the committees. None of the books were ever removed from the children's section. We weren't asking to get the books taken out of the libraries, we just wanted them moved out of the children's section. Because we know that the target area, especially for boys, is 8-year-olds. And when that stuff is in the children's section, the indoctrination starts way back then. So we have a spiritual battle that's been going on for a long time in this county, and it's only getting worse. We need you to pray, and we need you to be active in doing things.
We appreciate everyone coming out tonight. One last thought, but I will leave with you. I left it with you a little earlier. You're never too young, but you're never too old to get active. So get with it. Thank you for coming tonight.
Happy birthday, Larry!
I was working on comprehensive sex ed in Washington State. They passed the law when we all said no. We were just beginning the pandemic, and we had drive-through petition signing. We got over, I think it was 260,000 signatures in like 3 days or something like that to get it put back on the bill, or back on the vote against it again. And they lied about it in our voters' calendar. I have first time seen the teacher's guide, which I have on my computer, and if anybody wants it, please get in the card, I'll send it to you, for the Washington State Sex Ed Comprehension, which is the same one that is in multiple other states. It just this one happens to have Washington State's name on it. Now, in there, I went on the news, actually, and TV News to try to raise awareness. They couldn't play a lot of the stuff that was in this comprehensive sex ed on the news. One of the things was they have cartoon drawing pictures, how to measure yourself for sixth graders. And then the next thing I'm gonna say is with shopping, and I'm certain that most people in here are gonna be fine with it, but some people might be a little upset when I say this. But the kindergarten, in the kindergarten section, where it says what a teacher might say to a child, okay, in kindergarten, is don't worry, your vagina touches the sex penis. Now please ask me how this is normal. I want you to leave here so angry about what I just said to you, and if you don't believe me, please get my card and I'll send it to you, okay? If you don't leave here so angry that you lobby for these bills against what they're doing in these schools right now, then I don't know what to say.
You have to tell us who's responsible for this before you continue.
So there's actually, if you go to.
You can't just say that without us knowing who to go to right after this.
Right, okay, so right after this, then what you'll wanna do is you'll wanna get on board with Toad's bill, and you'll want, I believe his bill for that was
We know
631, I believe.
What school was that at? Or like, I'm not trying to dissuade you, or I just want to make sure that that's an outrageous statement, and I want to make sure that we're on the same page.
Okay, so.
I want to make sure that my anger is warranted,
Is,
much like everybody else here.
Every school in Montgomery County.
In every school in Montgomery County.
Yeah.
so here's the
Wow.
thing, is the sex ed comprehension plan, okay, is something that's happening in every state. Several states banned it completely. And then, if you remember the quote, "Don't say gay" bill for Florida with Ron DeSantis, okay? That was part of the comprehensive sex education. Now, they said in their state that they didn't want it to be for third grade and up. But after third grade, school will go ahead and start teaching comprehensive sex ed, which blows my mind completely, okay? Here in Texas, the only bill that we have so far for this is by Toad, and it's for fifth grade. Still, I'm sorry, that's a little too young in my opinion. but
Yep.
No question. I'm not arguing with you. Please don't
No,
misunderstand.
I totally,
Please
no, I don't
don't.
think you're arguing with me.
Yeah, please don't think I'm opposing you or arguing.
What I am saying is that if we do not pay attention, okay, this wokeism is a cancer. These people are termites. They're infesting us from the inside out, okay? They're getting into these small little offices. You're getting one book sliding in here, one book sliding in there. Nobody's paying attention. We all go to these meetings, and I was guilty of it too. So I was so guilty. Right girl over there, I listen to what they have to say, and I don't think we can do anything about it. But this is super serious now. Okay, these aren't just light issues that we can say, well, if that passes, it's really not that big of a deal. This is for the soul of our nation, the soul of our
Our
children.
children, yeah. more
Okay,
importantly.
the stuff they're teaching is filthy, disgusting, and it makes me sick. Okay, and I have seen it with my own eyes. And I'm begging you tonight, please, at any bills you take action on, please at least do it on these school issues. For the children, for our future. Thank you again for listening to me. If you have any more questions, I can give you a card and you can call me, because I know it's getting late.